hearing from all these people that knew the family so well, I kept waiting for some sort of like flaw in his character of how he's acted.
Like as a bad parent?
As a bad
right?
parent, or gotten mad about something or whatever.
As a defense attorney, that is like,
that's the hard
why is all
part
this
for
character evidence?
It's like he treated his wife so well, his kids so well.
Even to people who hate his guts, right?
Yeah.
Which a great example of that would have been the lady who is the CFO of PMPED, his law firm. You know, she finds out she gets up there, oh, he stole this, and he stole that, and he stole this, and he's a liar, and he's a thief, and he's a liar, and he's a thief. And they're like, oh, did you ever think that he killed? Oh, no, I don't think he killed his kid. No, his wife. He loved them so much. You know what I mean?
I don't see a motive for that.
I think see a motive
people do it, but I would like to know like what.
The reason behind it, if he did it.
I don't know.
Chime in, Sade. What you think?
Like of the opposite camp. I believe that there are things that happen in this world that aren't explainable. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes good people do bad things, and that it's not always so, I don't believe that we should give, it's rational. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think that crime is not always rational. And if I've learned anything in the defense of people, because I was always the person that's like, but why?
But why?
Yeah. Right? But why? Like if you're a drug addict, like when did it start? Like why did you want, and if something happened, but why?
99% of the time you get to that why, like they were molested as children and don't want to deal with it. Like there's been this like thing.
I don't know, but there's just some things that are just not rational. And so I don't know. I guess I'm just not seeking this explanation for it. It doesn't make sense to me either. I'm just like you, but I also don't believe that crime is always rational and that I necessarily have to have this answer wrapped up in this pretty box with
I don't
bow.
think, and I agree with you there, because I don't think I need an answer and an answer, but for me, it almost, crime like this is irrational.
I know. Yeah.
So the story of my finances were about to blow up, so I killed my family almost feels too rational.
Right.
For a storyline for a crime that
because
is... Because
if it were rational, we would have seen...
Right, so there's
life insurance,
what was happening
right?
that made you do this irrational thing?
Right.
Because when we hear...
That's crazy. I don't think we're going to get to an answer.
No.
I think maybe Buster knows, because
he knows that family
dynamic.
I think when we see this Snapchat video, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Paul is it's like pure joy in that video, right? Mm-hmm. His dad's trying to get this tree to stand up, and he is gut laughing at his daddy, right? It's cute, it's funny, it's sweet. So we see that was supposed to be like 2 hours before the murders, and then we hear in this video that Paul took with him at the kennels, they're laughing and joking around. Yeah. Oh, Bubba's got a chicken head or a guinea, or I don't even know what the heck any of that is. If it's a real chicken or I don't even know what that is. Or like maybe a duck or something. That's some hunting stuff. That's over my head. But like it's just like we're looking for that rage that would get you to like blowing your kid's head off, right? Yeah. Going up and shooting multiple times into your wife.
It's like too rational of a story for such a
crime. It don't make
sense
to me.
Yeah.
But they can't.
It don't even not make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's somewhere in between. I'm like in purgatory, and I'm searching for the answer, and I don't think we're ever going to get it. Although I just heard the testimony of the DNA expert that just came through, and it's funny because they're talking about STR mix, star mix technology in DNA testing, and we've seen star mix DNA in all kinds of cases. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are like, I don't understand any of this. And it's so funny because when it's my cases, they explain it perfectly, right? Mm-hmm. Makes total sense. But the way they were explaining it to the jury today, like made no sense. It made me like confused. Mm-hmm. And I know exactly what it is and what it matters. And I'm trying to make heads or tails of it. And I think that was intentional. Because what I gather from it is that Alex Murdaugh's DNA is not anywhere it's not supposed to be, right? And what we learned is underneath Maggie's fingernails, there's a probability that there is either two probabilities. It is her DNA and an unknown person, or her DNA, which we expected through her own fingernail, right? And this CB Rowe. And CB Rowe is a man who was a groundskeeper for a couple weeks, right? And on the night of the murder, when they were asking Alec questions like, who do you think would have any issues with Paul or Maggie or you? He immediately went to the Beach family, which I understand. I mean, everybody gets mad that he immediately went there and says, it
makes sense.
You know what I mean? Because Paul has killed their daughter, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Logically, it just makes sense. And then he says, well, Paul told me this crazy story and about this new groundskeeper that they have that's mowing and doing stuff, and about how he became an FBI informant for like against the Black Panthers, and like it was like some weird story. And when I heard it, I thought, that's the most outlandish thing I've ever heard. Like, that don't even make sense. Is he just making this stuff up on the fly? But then we learn that underneath her fingernail, there is a probability that it is her DNA and this CB Rowe guy's. Which is weird.
I never investigated where that guy was or if he was there, I'm sure.
Probably not. Who knows? Hopefully we'll
Another
see that
question
later.
mark.
And if Maggie wasn't living there and he'd only been there a couple weeks, what is his DNA doing underneath her fingernails?
I also don't know that Star Mix is so
Reliable?
reliable.
It's not.
It's, yeah, but I mean, well, it's not, you know,
But I
it's
do
so funny.
think it's worth-
It's not reliable in this case, but it's
Right.
real reliable in every other case.
In my,
I think.
yeah,
Right.
in
The-
my brain,
Right,
it's
all our
reliable.
Defense-wise, it's
Yeah.
not reliable.
But
it's
it should be reliable enough for you to go say, "Hey, where was CB Rowe?"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
maybe
Definitely.
maybe it is a red flag to say, "Let's go get his cell phone from that. Like,
Right.
let's see where his data
Where he
that
was,
night.
yes.
Let's see where his car that night.
Well, has
let's
that
look."
not been done?
Right?
Haven't heard about it.
No.
right.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
So it's just like another question mark thrown in, and I don't think STR Mix is like.
It's not the end all be all, but like
It's
but
kinda
we
like when
should be
someone
seeing-
fails a polygraph
but if
test.
Alex Murdaugh killed
Not
someone.
reliable. They might be lying.
But
so
if-
let's look into everything you're lying about.
But if Alex's DNA was there, or at least part of his DNA was there, because that's the whole point, is you don't have a partial DNA profile, then we would know it. Believe me, they'd be waving it all up and down.
Right.
But they're not doing that.
'Cause they don't-
And I think it's by design. They've made it more complicated than it needs to be. Because again, it feels like we're doing smoke and mirrors and bait and switch, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like
It's
that.
like, look at all these guns.
Look at all these guns, and not one of
At
them
a
is the
hunting
murder
lodge.
weapon. At a hunting lodge, yeah.
How do you feel about how the judge has been handling everything?
I mean, we love Judge Newman.
I do.
We love him. He has the best temperament.
He really does.
You know, he's not shaken by anything. There's
No.
a bomb threat to his office.
Cool
he's
and
like,
collected.
we're gonna evacuate and everything's gonna be fine, and then we're right back at 2:30 and everything's good. We're not even gonna mention it again.
I think
Yeah.
he's the perfect judge for this trial.
I think so too.
I think a lot of the evidence that has come in is just there's no way for a judge to know that it's going to confuse the jury so much before it goes in, but there's a lot of stuff that I did not expect to be admissible in this trial. But the defense
Me
did
either.
open the door to some stuff too, so Judge Newman has had to make some.
When life gets ugly, justice is love.